So, you probably just got your new bicycle and you're enjoying the ride, and suddenly your rear wheel is making some weird noise. For example, I'm gonna show you guys. So that weird little cover, it's a cassette or like your wheel protector to prevent the chain from overshifting and damaging your spokes on your wheel. 99.9% of the time it's useless because when you get your bike, it's probably already properly tuned by the mechanic from the bike shop. So the chain would never overshifts and then, goes inside there and stuck there and damage your spokes. Because again, your chain, your derailleur is probably already being properly adjusted. And this thing, it looks very ugly on your bike. And in this case, when I got this used bike, this thing fall off, okay? So there are a couple of tooths behind the plate that actually hold the cassette there. So in order to remove it, two ways. One is a proper way. Another is just use some sort of a sharp cutter to split the plate into pieces. And eventually it would break off and then you would be able to take it off, without removing the cassette. The proper way, of course, is to get the wheel off the bike and take the cassette out and just super easily remove that. And today I'm going to show you guys the proper way of removing this super annoying wheel protector from your cassette. The first thing first is take the wheel off your bike. So the easiest way to take your bike off is flip your bike over to expose the wheel and the cassette and the driving mechanism over here. Again, this tutorial is for people who have never done this before but want to give it a try. So you have your cassette mechanism over here. Make sure you shift your cassette to the smallest cog, which is the cog very close to the outside of the cassette. Once you have it switched to the smallest cog, all you have to do, loosen the quick release, and you're gonna turn the quick release counterclockwise just a few turns while holding the nut over here to loosen the bolt just a little bit. Once the bolt is loosened, you can easily lift the wheel by slightly turning your rear derailleur a little bit. Just hold on tight and pull it out. Now, before you do this, also double check your brake clearance. Depending on the kind of brakes you have, this one is a cantilever, so I can just easily push it and release the cable over there for the cantilever brakes, and it comes off and the brake comes loose. You can easily take your wheel out. For a road bike, just happen to have a road bike right here. For the road bike with a caliper brake, there is a release mechanism on your caliper brake. Usually you just turn that little knob and your brake should open bigger and you should be able to get your wheel out, okay? On some of the bike that doesn't have the quick release, unfortunately, you have to loosen the cables and then get the brake cable loose and then get your bike out. This is particularly true for bikes that have very thick wheel diameters. Now on a disc brake, you don't have to worry about releasing your brake. Disc brake, you can just pull it out. For the disc brake, when you pull it out, make sure you don't squeeze the lever so you get the caliper in the disc brake stuck over there. Make sure you don't release that lever, okay? So very easily, you can just lift this up and get the wheel out. And we're almost done with getting this little junk out of the wheel, okay? So to remove the cassette out of your wheel, you need 3 pieces of tools. They are not terribly expensive, okay? So you need the cassette remover, which looks like a nut with some tooth on the other end and a small pointy thing over here, which is used to align the cassette over here. You also just need a adjustable wrench or a wrench that actually fits onto the nut bolt over here. This is a Part 2 FR56 Very common tool, very easy to use, and extremely useful for servicing your cassette. This is a chain whip. It's Part 2 HCW16, and I'm pretty sure they have a newer version came out already, but any of those versions should work with most of the chains on the market. So all you have to do is get this chain whip in place on one of the larger cogs, just align it. And once you have it aligned, of course, you lock it so it doesn't turn counterclockwise, because you want to use the cassette tool to turn the cap clockwise. And now if you don't use that, you can see the thing just spins like crazy and doesn't lock. That's why you have to lock the cassette while you're turning this cap, okay? And that's where this little wrench, adjustable wrench, comes in handy. You can just, get things aligned and then turn counterclockwise to loosen the cassette. Now, this cassette is very loose, so I can already tell, and I already know why this cover broke and it's making a lot of noises and it's moving around. That's because the previous owner did not have the cassette adjusted properly. Now, if this is loose, your entire cassette is loose, and it's gonna cause a lot of rubbing and a lot of misalignment. And if it's this loose, it's definitely not good, okay? And that's probably the reason why this broke, because there are a lot of movements in there, and they may have had a chain accident which actually broke the tooth behind the chain protector, okay? But with that said, here's how you remove the cassette. The cassette is usually covered by a little cap on the top. So once you have that top removed with a tool, you can easily lift the cassette up. Ta-da! Right there. Once you have the cassette lifted up, you can get this little annoying thing removed, okay? But when you install this back, be really careful, because this cassette, depending on your setup, it could come in multiple pieces. Just make sure you know the order of those pieces so you know how to put the thing back together. On the free hub itself, there is a very large tooth that's for you to align this cassette. And you just find a large tooth and a large area over here, and you can just gently put the whole thing back there. It's okay if it doesn't go in all in one piece. You can just slowly put every piece back in there. But here you go, you already, remove the cassette and reinstall the cassette. And now the last step is actually put the cap on here with your cassette, with your, protector already removed. Now to lock it, you don't need the chain whip. To lock it, all you need is tighten this nut on the tool, okay? So, of course, tighten it clockwise to 50 Newton meters. Usually that's a manufacturer's spec, and over here I'm just going by feel, okay? And that's already pretty tight, okay? So that is how you remove this annoying cassette protector, of cassette and wheel protector on your bicycle. Now, when you remove it, you also need, it's a good time to inspect. For example, this wheel, the cover piece was actually extremely loose, which was probably the cause of the cassette protector being snapped and started, becoming loose. So when you inspect that and when you retighten it, make sure everything's nice and tight, and you can just do the reverse order and put this wheel back on your bike. So to install the wheel back on your bike, super easy. All you have to do, guys, just when you try to doing maintenance on your bike, just do it once, and the next time it's much easier. Okay, first time is always hardest, and next time it's much easier. So I'm putting the quick release back on the cassette and the wheel. Make sure the cap area, not this knob, the cap, goes to where the cassette is, because when you put the other area over here, you're not gonna be able to lock it because there's a lot of mechanism going on over there. Okay, so this area, always the nut. Okay, you flip it over, just do the reverse pretty much. So you're gonna lift the chain just a little bit so you can drop the cassette over there and kind of align where the rear derailleur is once you get the two situated in the cassette, you know, turn the rear derailleur just a little bit. Try to drop the wheel back in there with the chain correctly mounted on the rear derailleur. And I would say we're already almost done. And just push it down there. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, so once the wheel is installed, all you have to do, see if the angle is correct. So all you have to do is make sure everything is nicely and firmly situated on the bike frame, okay? You don't want the cassette to be misaligned when you put it on there. That would be horrible, and your brake would actually start rubbing really bad, and that's a sign that you didn't put the wheel in correctly. So get the wheel kind of adjusted to where there is friction when you have the lever halfway. So when you have the lever halfway and there's friction, you can just push it all the way and tighten it. Sometimes if you feel that it's not tight enough, just turn this knob a little bit more clockwise, give it a little more friction, and then try again. You want nice, firm feeling when you try to close the lever, okay? Always remember that. You don't want the lever closed super loose. That's really bad. And you also don't want it to close super, super tight. That's also bad, okay? So just enough pressure and it's good to go. And then you're gonna turn it, make sure everything's nice. And now you don't hear any weird noises coming from the chain protector or the wheel protector. So that is how you remove that thing. And that is also how you remove the cassette for service, okay? If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below, and I'd try my best to help you guys. Thanks again, hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe, and I should have more similar bicycle maintenance videos coming out for you guys, okay? Thanks and take care.